Full inclusion.
Mr. Chair?
That's fine by me, Mr. Chair. I think Representative McGuinness might have some other ideas.
Yes, Representative McGuinness.
Well, I was in the middle of a question when we
Why don't you finish your question then?
Can
Just
I do
start
that?
from the middle.
start from the middle. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Okay. My question, we're spending a lot of money, and I think it's
And
fine.
here, we're just
Talk in
saying,
your microphone.
Okay. We're spending a lot of money testing vulnerable areas, private wells in areas that the Department of Agriculture considers vulnerable. I don't second guess that amount of money, and I think it's a good idea to test. But my question is why are you not also recommending that testing be done in other vulnerable areas in the state that don't have a certain amount of row crop?
Chair?
Go for it.
So on page 21 of the policy statement regarding advanced drinking water protection, item number 4 says, develop a comprehensive systematic approach for periodic testing of water quality of private wells, including the notification of testing results and education on possible actions. And then we give 2 examples. This is from our report. And again, as I said, these are our policy recommendations that we believe, after years of listening to testimony, that we believe you are absolutely correct. There are wells out there that should be tested, are not presently being tested, and we should be doing that, notifying people, but additionally doing something to assure that people are drinking safe water. Again, the part of that that's difficult for the Clean Water Council is we cannot do more than recommend to you possible policy changes.
If I could follow up, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
he's coming.
Thank you, Chair Gunther. In addition to the items that Frank mentioned, we also did have a budget recommendation of $300,000 for a new Department of Health program entitled Drinking Water Protection, and it was seed money to develop the public health policies to address some of these issues.
Representative McGuinness.
Thank you. Well, when I read those, it looked like they were mostly about lead. And I'm looking at all of the other kinds of things that could be in private drinking water wells. And so I think I'm getting is that the Department of Health didn't recommend it, so you felt you could not fund it because you could not make a recommendation. You could not ask the Department of Health for something directly, that you can only fund recommendations that come from a department? Is that what I'm getting here?
So we got 3.
I think the council has, on occasion, made recommendations for programs that are not funding for programs that are not department programs. But we have not generally recommended that a department create a program or do a program and then say that there's funding. We may suggest it, but we would respond to the department as opposed to making an opinion ourselves about something the department should do.
Okay, that,
One more question?
oh, I probably have 10, but I'll take just one more.
One. Appreciate that.
Okay.
We have some freshmen wants to go to their party.
Oh, I
It's
see.
been a long time since you and I went to one of those parties.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you've clarified one thing, but I do notice we have a similar issue where the Mississippi River, which is drinking water source for 1 million people, is not being tested by health or PCA for drinking water contaminants. It's being tested for some other things, but not for drinking water contaminants. So I saw in your recommendations that you asked the people who drink the water to come up with a plan. The problem with that is that the people who drink the water have no jurisdiction over the water that they are drinking. In other words, for example, Minneapolis and St. Paul take water out of the Mississippi North in Fridley, which they have no jurisdiction over that. So it does seem to me that there's this huge lack, but I think I'm also hearing that the Department of Health does not recommend that, and so we're not doing it. So I think I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Representative Green.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got a few questions, too. But they are short, and they should be painless. On page 2 of the bill, it's just one example, but on line 2.13, we've got some money here for monitoring, and then there's many areas that are in here for monitoring, but I've seen in other bills as well, a lot of money for monitoring, a lot of money for administration costs, a lot of money for testing, and you do work with other agencies. Do you have steps in place to assure that these aren't duplicated in other agencies, so we're not spending the same money to test for the same things in different agencies?
It is not really the responsibility of the Clean Water Council to look over all of the departments and try and determine whether or not they have duplicative programs. We try clearly within the recommendations that are made to us to determine whether there are programs that are duplicative in those. And we certainly talk about that and suggest collaborating or doing it in other ways. But we don't go out and research whether or not agencies are doing additional programs that might be duplicative. That's a hard word to say.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. That kind of tells me that might be going on, and there's a lot of money going into that, so I think we maybe should look into that. The next one would be on page 10.30. We have $12 million basically going into a pilot program. But when I was looking through it, it's a pilot program, but doesn't really give any examples of what you're going to be doing. And so I'm wondering how they arrived at the $12 million and what are the projects for that?
So this is, actually, this is, and if you look at the report, you will see that this is a reallocation, really, of money from, and designed to go directly to one watershed, one plans that are completed. And its objective is to assure that if you do the planning, we don't have yet another plan on a shelf somewhere, but rather that the counties, the soil and water districts can get to work on the plan that they've put together. And over time, the hope would be that we would move these plans forward. The Root River was an example of one where much of the work has been completed and you could see people begin to work. So this is really a movement from one spot to another, pilot in the sense that it's funding that goes direct to those organizations that are doing the work on the ground.
Representative Green.
So, Mr. Chair, but the 12 million is going into a project and not just overseeing whether or not there's two projects?
Right. That is correct.
Okay. Then on 1114, we have another one that is pretty broad. It's almost $30 million. And I don't see anything that really lists any projects in this. And I did just get your report. I thank you for that, but I just got it today and hadn't got a chance to go through that. But do you have a list of those projects? And then at the bottom of that, it also says that portions of these funds can be used to seek administrative efficiencies. So do you have a breakdown of that as well?
So, reading the language in the law is hard for me to immediately translate into which one this is. It's on page 11, and, yep, it is this one. But take us a second to assure that I know what I'm talking about before I begin.
Representative Green, could it be possible that you meet with Representative Torkelson offline? He's on the Clean Water Council too.
That would be possible, yeah.
Thank you. With that, Representative Torkelson, we have two testifiers that would like to talk. We're going to limit them for 2 minutes apiece. Would you please come forward? Mr. Morris, I believe you were one of them. Senator, welcome back. Well, it's been a long time.
Well, yeah, it has. It's good to be here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Real brief, there's just a couple of things I want to say. First of all, I'd like to thank Representative Torkelson for carrying this legislation. I think earlier in the day, at your earlier hearing, you got a copy of our coalition letter, which is in support of Representative Torkelson's legislation and the Clean Water Council recommendations. We are supporting that, and I think we have 27 different groups that signed on to the back of it. I'd be happy to provide you with additional copies. But for a couple of reasons. Number one, we think it's a fair and reasonable allocation of the funds that the council has come up with. We also strongly support the council process because it does have citizen engagement and engagement from different parties to look at all the issues and bring them together for a recommendation. So just like to offer our support for that. I would also, if I could, just like to share some recent polling that we did. I know some of you have seen this before, but basically we polled about a month ago statewide with an overpolling in rural Minnesota and just tested the support for the legacy amendment. And what we found is that for the third time that we've asked this question, just on overall support for the legacy amendment, that it's up to highest level ever. 75% of the public say they support the amendment, whether or not how they voted on it initially when it passed. So it passed with, I think, 56, 58%. We're now up to 75% of Minnesotans that support this. So thank you for your good work on helping to oversee these funds, and the Minnesotans are counting on you. I could be happy to share some of these with members here if you'd like.
We appreciate that very much. Representative Guinness, you got something?
Yes,
You
thank
can
you. Senator Morse, did your polling ask about drinking water?
It certainly did. There were a number of questions about drinking water. Didn't bring that to this committee meeting. As always, it's one of the highest concerns of Minnesotans. Yes, there is a lot of interest and concern both in rural and greater Minnesota. I don't know what you'd like to add. We didn't ask specifically about surface drinking water in the metro area.
Probably because folks don't realize that's where most of their water comes from.
We did ask about groundwater charge drinking water. That's what we did some work on. But I don't think we have that. Most in the rest of the survey, the public part of the survey is on our website.
But suffice to say that that's a issue that ranks very high among those you've surveyed.
Madam Chair, drinking water quality traditionally over the last 12 years or so we've been polling almost always ranks as the highest concern of Minnesotans. I will just tell you this year, I think our pollster's term was they were somewhat flabbergasted because the highest concern actually was pollinators, something else that I'm sure Representative McGuinness would be interested in. It bumped drinking water out of top place.
That's not in this committee, though.
No.
And I agree with that. Representative Erdahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator. The total of 75% approval, that includes all 4 of the dedicated funds?
Mr. Chairman and Representative Erdahl, yes, we just asked for the overall support of the amendment. Our polling is, would perhaps indicate, I hope that's not me. The polling that we did just after the amendment passed showed that the main driving force of why people voted yes was drinking water and surface and groundwater concern, the water concerns. But we don't break that down in this poll. And I'd also say that what's interesting, if you look at the polling sheets here, is that the breakdown between urban and rural is, they're almost identical as in most of these issues. It's strong support in rural as it is in metro areas.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that's a good statistic to note, and maybe should be repeated a few times tonight when the rest of the members are here.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
We have one other person that wanted to talk. Welcome to our committee. Give your name for the record.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Rebecca Flood. I'm Assistant Commissioner for Water Policy at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and I also chair a Clean Water Fund Interagency Coordination Team. And you have some handouts in your packet regarding the governor's budget recommendations, as well as a 2-page fact sheet that I'd like to just quickly go through and honor the time commitment. It is the purpose of the interagency coordination team to develop budget recommendations for the governor's consideration. This interagency team, in addition to developing those recommendations, also ensures that appropriated funds are spent efficiently and effectively. So the state agency members are the Board of Water and Soil Resources, the Department of Agriculture, Department of Health, Department of Natural Resources, the Public Facilities Authority, the Metropolitan Council, and the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We've developed a systematic approach to look at our water resource needs over the 25-year life of the constitutional amendment with a focus on implementation efforts to avoid, and we also want to make sure that we avoid bureaucratic layers and eliminate duplication and are able to target these precious resources to on-the-ground implementation. In addition, we also provide information to and coordinate with the Clean Water Council. Slide 3 in that handout has, we were directed in 2006 with the passage of the, I don't know if that's it was in your packet previously. I don't think that's yes, sir, that one. Representative Torkelson is holding it up there. It was provided to you earlier. There you go. Nope. No, that's from the Clean Water Council. It looks like that. Sorry. It was in the packets. Yes, yeah, the Representative Lillie has that. There you go. Thank you. So in 2006, the legislature passed the Clean Water Legacy Act, which required agencies to develop a statewide approach to managing our water resources, which we did. And that has become the framework by which all the state agencies and our local partners also use those to guide our work in terms of everything from monitoring to developing plans and strategies for water protection and restoration. On the 4th slide, you'll see a pie chart there, which is the Governor's Clean Water Fund recommendations of $214,124,000. It's divided up into 6 different categories. We do divide them up a little bit differently than what the Clean Water Council does. 11% of the appropriation is outlined for monitoring, 11% for planning, watershed restoration and protection strategies and plans, 17% for drinking water and groundwater, 3% for applied research and tools, and 58% for on-the-ground implementation. There's also, as I mentioned, a single 2-pager that outlines the individual agencies and what individual agencies' appropriation requests are as a part of the governor's package. On slide 5, you'll see that there's a titled Similarities and Differences. I think the differences between Representative Torkelson's bill and the recommendations from the Clean Water Council, I think there's broad agreement on what we should be doing, so that's really excellent. I think the differences are between dollars and sources of funding. While there are a couple of differences between the governor's budget recommendations and the Clean Water Council's as reflected in Representative Torkelson's bill, I think the primary difference is regarding the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. It's a voluntary program for on-the-ground implementation. It's really targeted to the most critical areas of pollution reduction. The governor's recommendations are for $18 million in implementation. This bill contains $3 million. Our concern, I think, is that in order to leverage the $350 million that are available federal funds, the state needs to come up with $96 million, and we know it will take a variety of different sources to do that. There's $30 million in bonding along with outdoor heritage and LCCMR recommendations. This program has received strong bipartisan support for its locally driven targeted implementation. The other technical issue I'll highlight is that there's a difference in the amount of reserve on the bottom line. The governor has $2.5 million on the bottom line for reserve, and this bill has a 5% reserve. So with that, I hope I didn't run too long over, but would happy to take questions.
You did just fine. Representative Wagenius.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I was reading some of your work and some of the Clean Water Council work, it was impossible to see what outcomes are anticipated. We can see the money in, so comparing the council's recommendations and the governor's recommendations is difficult because there are no outcomes. And there's no context. I mean, an easy one was context is how many wells need to be sealed. Are we solving this much of the problem or this much of the problem? I can't tell from any of the stuff we've gotten from you. So I was just hoping that in the next go-around, that when the governor presents his recommendations, that we can actually see the anticipated outcomes in each category of dollar.
Thank you. Thank you for a very
Thank you for hearing.
informative post. And because the Environmental Committee added parks and trails in with clean water, we have anybody that can testify for parks and trails up there? Please come on up. Justifying opposition for being here. We have to be in a hurry. We want our freshmen to go to their freshman part.
Thank you so much.
So I don't want to dismiss them without hearing everybody's information. So talk shorthand,
Quickly,
quickly.
will do. Okay.
Oh, what is your name?
Yes, I will. Good evening, Chair Gunther and members of the committee. My name is Catherine Zimmer, and I am a small business owner as well as the executive director of a fledgling nonprofit, called Women Observing Wildlife Minnesota. And I founded this nonprofit because of concerns about our natural resources and trying to support wildlife watching in the state, which I think is kind of an underappreciated activity in the out of doors. It may interest you to know that actually almost 3 million Minnesotans consider themselves wildlife watchers, and wildlife watching provides 13,000 jobs and adds $90 million to the state coffers. This is from the DNR's report, Tomorrow's Habitat for the Wild and Rare. I think all of you in the, on the committee and probably in the room know the language associated with the Legacy Amendment. And I just want to point out that the Legacy Amendment is primarily a conservation amendment. You frequently see the words protect, preserve, conserve, restore our state's natural resources, our water, and our cultural heritage. And as a matter of fact, the 2011 Office of the Legislative Auditor report said the Legacy Amendment was originally envisioned as a way to dedicate more money to certain concerns about the state's natural resources. What I'd like to talk to you about, I'm skipping a slide, I'm on the fourth slide, tonight is the appropriations for the Metropolitan Council's Parks and Trails monies. And specifically, in 2011, a plan was put together. It's the Legacy Parks and Trails Plan. It's the statewide plan designed to guide how we spend the Parks and Trails money. And in that plan, they essentially polled over 2,000 citizens and found that, as Senator Moore said, that most citizens voted for the amendment because they wanted clean water and preserving nature. And the vision in the plan is to protect natural resources and create the next generation of stewards. And citizens also wanted a balanced and pragmatic approach to the spending for our legacy parks and trails monies. In the plan, there's 4 pillars. I'm not going to go into detail except for one that is take care of what we have. And in that it says, high-quality natural areas and water resources must be preserved, and in areas where they've been degraded, they should be restored. And I'm just going to skip now to the slide, Legacy Parks and Trails spending, 2010 through 2015. This was a report put out by, I believe, the Parks and Trails Legacy Council. And you'll just note here that under the pillars, 33% under take care of what we have, which is the natural resources. There's no natural resources that were included in this report. It actually is examples of construction. And a 5th pillar that wasn't in the Parks and Trails plan, that is not in the Parks and Trails plan, has been added, called new development. And this, again, is more new construction. For the 2018-19 spend of the park implementing agencies in the Met Council group, you'll notice that, again, anywhere from 80 to 90% of the proposed spending is on construction, and only 2 of the park implementing agencies have a line item even for natural resources, and that's less than 10%. And again, the pillar new development is in the is in this proposed plan. And some examples of what's been proposed for spending of our Parks and Trails legacy money is reconstructing parking lots, building new nature centers, buying diesel generators, building pole barns. This one flummoxes me, is build an outdoor area to connect users with nature while using an indoor facility. I haven't quite figured that one out yet. New maintenance facilities, rehabilitating trails that are already new, and remodeling headquarters building.
Ms. Zimmer, I think we can probably gain more by having the people that were the Metropolitan Park and Trails come down here first, and then you can ask questions.
Well, with all due respect, Chair Gunther, we've attended almost every Met Council Parks and Trails Commission meeting for the last 2 years, and that's why we're here at this committee.
Fine, you don't help us members out, too, do you?
Pardon me?
Would you finish, please?
Yes. So also in the Met Council Regional Parks Policy Plan, it says that the spending should be consistent with the statewide plan. But the spending has not been consistent. The spending has been unbalanced. It hasn't done very much to preserve and protect natural resources. It's been slated more towards construction, which actually destroys natural resources, and it fragments habitat. And it adds to maintenance costs, and I'll direct your attention to this slide that was presented by Met Council at the Senate Environment Committee in January, and it shows the actual costs that they're picking up for construction, which are well over $100 million. And the appropriations is somewhere in the $5 million. So we have a huge gap between what we can afford to maintain and what exactly needs to be maintained. So in closing, we would like to request from this committee that you reconsider the number of construction projects associated with the Met Council portion of the Parks and Trails spending, and also consider legislation to rebalance the Parks and Trails spending towards the natural resources that citizens voted for when they voted for the amendment, and support the infrastructure, but not have such an unbalanced amount of spending. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Anybody else like to testify? Parks and Trails people, anybody there? Do we have any Parks and Trail people? Either one. One. Both of you can come at once.
I'll be very brief. Hi, Chair Gunther, thank you for allowing me
Your
a
name
couple
for the
minutes.
record.
Holly Jenkins. I'm here on behalf of a nonprofit organization called Wilderness in the City, and we represent a large group of individuals who are concerned about the natural resources in our regional park system. Now, as you've heard a couple times tonight, according to numerous sources, the 25-year Parks and Trails Legacy Plan states that most Minnesotans who supported the Legacy Amendment cited clean water and preserving nature as their reason for voting yes. Contrary to this, a review of the Parks and Trails Legacy spending for the Metropolitan Regional Park System shows a history of unbalanced spending, prioritizing costly built development at the expense of natural resources. Now, on February 20th, at this committee hearing, you heard a presentation by the Met Council that highlighted how the Parks and Trails Legacy Fund is impacting the regional park system. The Mississippi River Regional Trail was highlighted, where legacy dollars have helped to fund construction of 2 trail segments or gaps. Notably missing from that presentation was the irreversible damage that this has caused to an ecologically sensitive area in Spring Lake Park Reserve. Prior to construction, the DNR had submitted a letter to Dakota County asking them to avoid this sensitive area. The public came out and opposed it. However, funding was approved to use legacy dollars. Explosives then created a bench cut through the ecologically sensitive bluff. 200-foot wide swaths of trees were removed. New hills were formed, essentially building a railroad corridor where none existed. It's $9 million for a 4-mile trail segment. The original plan had included a different alignment that would have avoided the trail, that would have avoided the bluffs for only $1 million. So what we're seeing is that the legacy funds are being used to match federal transportation enhancement grants, and it creates these excessive projects within our parklands. It's not just the trails, but it's the buildings. And at the same time, we're watching the natural resources significantly degrade within our nature-based park system. Now, this is not, there's money available from other sources for the development, for our natural resources and wildlife. People voted for the Legacy Amendment. I would urge you to really consider whether or not another package of projects emphasizing built infrastructure at the expense of natural resources is really the best we can do for the legacy that we're leaving behind.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else like to testify on Parks and Trails? Met Council, Regional, Metro Parks, Rural. Saying none? Any questions on Parks and Trails?
Just,
Saying none?
can I comment? Just,
Sure, I'd love to have you comment.
I just have to say, I really appreciate citizens coming forward
Absolutely.
and letting us know something we did not know. That's very important. Thank you.
We will ask questions. And with that, Representative Torkelson, you want to renew your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I renew my motion that House File 1731 be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you very much. And next we have,
Oh, up again.
who? You want your other bill? Representative Torkelson,
Yes,
who want House File 2152?
yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move House File 2152 for possible inclusion in the legacy bill. And I have a testifier who's told me he will be brief.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Dennis Van Morleham. I am a Sibley County Fair Board member from Arlington, Minnesota, and also on the Minnesota Federation of County Fairs as a District 2 Director. I'd like to take this time to thank you for allowing me to address you concerning House File 2152. The 95 county fairs, from a very small, strictly rural to the larger urban ones, have struggled the past few years trying to offer arts, culture, and historic presentations to our annual fairs. Before the past grant program that ended in 2013, we had started to offer outstanding performances that many of our attendees would never have been able to see due to the cost of the distance to the venues. Many of us have dropped charging at the gate to encourage all citizens from all walks of life and the opportunity to attend the last free entertainment around. It worked. Our attendance started growing immediately. We also saw growth in stage show attendance and in food sales, believe it or not. Some of the fairs also received competitive grants from the original County Fair Arts Access and Cultural Heritage Grant Program. I happen to be one of the awardees. I can tell you about my fair. The Sibley County Fair received a competitive grant in 2012. We had never had a stage on our fairgrounds except in the beer stand. We also had never had a dressing room or a decent sound system. The 4-H, FFA, and Scouts were forced to put their shows on during slack hours in the beer stand. Needless to say, I had some very interesting discussions with parents about that situation. We then received a competitive grant to help build an entertainment building with a stage, 2 dressing rooms, state-of-the-art sound system. We're still going to be in debt for the next 10 years, but it was so well received, we now hear from the very same parents and the public. They praise our new venue and in some cases offer to help pay down the debt. Other fairs used the grant money to hire ethnic entertainment, historical exhibitions, oil painting classes, educational appearance, plays, arts in performance, and culinary classes, to name a few. The public had just began to expect the improved offerings and voiced their disapproval to the fair boards when this very important grant program went away in 2013. We were forced to decide, do we repair a roof? Do we use our scarce funds to continue the arts cultural presentations? There was some sort of a mixture in many of the fairs. Our future looked like the same old outdoor stages, no dressing rooms, old outdated venues, outdated showrooms, 1950s lighting, questionable ADA building entries, all resulting in a substandard county fair experience. The bill has the prospect to allow our fairs to slowly build up the programs that we, not just our fair board and the public, but you as a group will have had a hand in generating the new county fairs all-around experience. I agree with the equal share and 2 competitive grant approach you have included in this bill. All fairs can count on some help, and others will have to think through their needs, put on a budget together, arrange funding before applying for one of the competitive grants. This puts the burden on the applicants, as it should. My personal opinion, you are working with a well-thought-out bill with accountability built in. Our fairs will work to spend that money wisely. I am so grateful that you are recognizing our need today. I am speaking for 95 county fairs when I invite you to attend our fairs each summer and fall, and you will be able to see the changes taking place on account of this bill. And then the last little bit here, if you come to the Sibley County Fair in Arlington, we'll give you the royal treatment, and we'll put you to work handing out sweet corn at our annual sweet corn feed. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Seeing none, how about Representative Torkelson? Representative Murphy?
Mr. Chair, Representative Torkelson, sir, are you saying that some of these funds were used to build buildings and and fix roofs and things like that?
No. Okay. No, we use it for stage and backdrops. There was 2 or 3 fairs that, with that money, that built show pavilions. What do you call them? With the stage with the covering on it. But no, not buildings.
Gazebos?
Gazebos, yes.
Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Murphy, there were some discrepancies in the first round of grants. I believe those problems have been identified and cured, and that those misbehaviors would not happen again.
Oh, good. Mr. Chair, because I really think that the county fair is really an important part of American heritage, and when Representative Torkelson first brought this before us, I think I was a co-author at the beginning, and I thought that the money was going for activities that the various groups of people could participate in and show at the fair. And I know it also helped some fairs bring the people together more, and like you just described. And so I wanted to make that clarification. Thank you very much, Representative Torkelson. It's a really good idea.
Thank you, Representative Murphy.
You want to renew your motion?
Mr. Chair, I renew my motion that House File 2152 be included for possible inclusion.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Representative Driscoll.
Thank you.
I move that House File 2111 be laid over for possible inclusion.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today. In 2013, through the legacy funds, the city of Sartell was granted $1 million. They were able to use that money for land acquisition and for park improvements. The Sauk River Park is located in the southern part of the Sartell community that borders the city of St. Cloud. This is the same area that the Sauk River merges into, or the confluence of the Sauk River and the Mississippi River. On either side of the Sauk River, there is a park, one in the city of Sartell and one in the city of St. Cloud. Through consultation with the two communities and with the hope of being able to secure additional money, we would like to extend the expiration date of the $500,000 that's remaining from the 2013 allocation to expire on June 30th of 2022, which will allow the community the opportunity to be able to work with others to build a bridge across to connect the two parks with one another. There is no other way to connect those parks other than going through county and city streets, and so this is a pedestrian bridge that we're looking to use these funds for. It's authorized. We simply just need an extension of the date in order to be able to get bids and to put the rest of the funding together. Mr. Chair, that's it.
Any questions from members? Seeing none, I'll renew my motion. Have House File 2111 laid over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have. Let's get Dettmer done next. Representative Dettmer, we have 2 freshmen who wants to go to their park. You're holding them up. Remember I used to incite all those wrestlers to go fast or up?
We will be going faster, Mr. Chair, and
I will move that House File 2251 be rolled over for possible inclusion in our omnibus bill.
Mr. Chair and committee members, this past summer, we had the Medal of Honor convention here in the state of Minnesota, and a few thousand people came into the state of Minnesota, and it was an honor to be part of that occasion and being able to meet several of the Medal of Honor recipients from around the country. And we also had a groundbreaking ceremony of the Medal of Honor Memorial. If you've been over at the Veterans Building, just part of the Capitol grounds, there's a fountain there that just hasn't been working for years, and we had a groundbreaking ceremony there. That's where the Medal of Honor Memorial is going to be located, and so we're asking for $250,000. This is matching funds for the fiscal year 2008 and appropriated the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund to the Commission Administration. And to complete the design and construction of the memorial, we've already got the design. We selected a design off from 3 different companies that came up with the design, and it's going to be quite a memorial that we can be proud of here on the Capitol grounds. Mr. Paul Mandel with the CAP board, he wasn't able to be here this evening. He's got a school board meeting, but he was able to help us through this process. And we have a testifier here with Tiffany Kowaleski. She would like to just share some things with the committee.
Ms. Kowaleski, would you give your name for the record, please?
Good evening. I'm Tiffany Kowaleski, and I am the co-chair for the Minnesota Medal of Honor Memorial. And I'm sitting next to the chairman, John Kramer, of the memorial itself. I don't know if it's working, if you can see my screen or not, but that's okay. We'll go.
It's working.
Is it working?
Yep.
So we're going to just go the old school route here. On the front page here, you're going to see what the winning design of the Minnesota Medal of Honor Memorial and what it looks like. And flipping through, we are a 501c3 nonprofit board. We have put together an honorary board from the governor all the way down, along with 3 Medal of Honor recipients, including the only living Medal of Honor recipient from the state of Minnesota, which is Leo Thorsness. We've put together a board ourselves. And if you want to flip the next page, we're on to now about the, that's okay. That's okay. We don't have time. It's the Medal of Honor. For those of you that don't know a lot about the Medal of Honor, I would be more than happy to spend about 2 days with you and talk all about it. But for the record right now, the Medal of Honor is our nation's highest and rarest military decoration. The society is made up of all living Medal of Honor recipients, and they have developed the Medal of Honor Foundation. The foundation has 2 primary wings of itself. It is the Character Development Program and the Citizen Honors Program. The Character Development Program is a character education program for students K through 12 that's based on the 6 characteristics of the Medal of Honor, which is courage, commitment, citizenship, sacrifice, integrity, and patriotism. I have 2 young children myself, and I don't think that my 4-year-old doesn't need, he just like you and me need to understand what courage is and what commitment is. His might be a little bit different than ours, but he still needs to know what that is. So the foundation has created this CDP, is what I'll refer to it as the Character Development Program. And during the convention, I championed the CDP here in the state of Minnesota. Last year, we were able to, and we're on to the statistic page right now, we completed 5 successful CDP trainings, 17 school visits that more than 1 recipient went to, helped create and launch the new elementary CDP program, which we were especially excited about here. Over 250 teachers were trained here in the state of Minnesota, with over 75 districts that participated. And we passed legislation, including the CDP in our state's bill. Representative Pugh was fortunate enough to come to one of the trainings last year, and I would highly encourage any of you to come to the future ones as well. Now that the convention is passed and we've paved this way with the CDP, we don't want this to go all for nothing, and we want some type of lasting value and to continue the legacy here. So through the Minnesota Medal of Honor Memorial, we have developed, or we're putting more trainings forth, which you can see on the next page. In the blue area, we'll be in the southwest area on June 1st. The president of the society, Tom Kelly, will be flying in. The foundation also asked for us to do one of the first ever elementary teacher trainings. Teachers here from Minnesota wrote and developed this elementary training for the entire country. So we're very excited to have them come back and to have our elementary teachers trained. All right, so what does this all have to do about a memorial? This page is going to kind of tie it all in for you. We wanted to have a memorial, again, to continue the living legacy of the Medal of Honor recipients. When we approached the CAP board about the placement for this memorial, the most prominent location is underneath the Veteran Services Building that has an existing promise of youth sculpture. For those of you that have seen Millie out there, she has been broken for over 2 decades. This is a project that we are going to be fixing, paying for, and repurposing. Millie has everything to do with the promise of youth has everything to do with the character development program, as the recipients themselves would like to exude their, what am I trying to say? I lost my train of thought. The recipients have these 6 characteristics that they go around with the CDP and teach the kids about. They themselves are heroes, and they go around and they teach the children that they themselves are heroes too. No matter if it's on the playground or in the street or within your community, it only promotes character, great character from anybody and everybody that you are within your community. So we'll move on to the location of the, where it is, with tours, with school buses, with veterans, with children. It was absolutely amazing to be at the groundbreaking ceremony with my children, my mother, and my grandmother, to stand there in front of a multi-generational memorial that meant something to each and every one of us in all different ways. We were able to have a groundbreaking ceremony on October 3rd that launched the convention, and since then, now we've started a aggressive sponsorship campaign. We are looking to raise $1 million, and we're asking to raise $250,000, or asking for a appropriation of $250,000 from the state of Minnesota. Paul Mandel with the CAP board wasn't able to be here tonight, but he said that this is one of the lowest amounts that a memorial has asked for the state of Minnesota. We're willing to do the other 3/4 of the fundraising happily. I'm going as fast as I can. Let's see.
You did a great job. You did terrific.
Any questions?
Any questions from the members?
I do have one final thought. We feel that this historical project fits into the wheelhouse of the Legacy Committee, considering your criteria, and that we do have interactive programs, public education, and research and writing, because any leftover funds do go to scholarships to kids. And this is an annual event that we'll be having on the Capitol Mall, in which an estimated over 200,000 people attend every year. The end.
And it will be a great memorial.
You have something to say.
Pardon?
I know you have something you want to say.
I just know being involved with the Medal of Honor convention and with the groundbreaking ceremony of this memorial, I think it'll be a great addition to what we already have out there on the Capitol grounds. And I know the CAP board is excited. The design is fantastic. There's going to be a water feature, but it's not going to be a water feature where it's going to leak into the tunnel. So it's going to be quite a thing, and it can be enjoyed year-round. The water feature will be turned off during the winter, of course, but the granite that the water flows over has that shiny look to it, and it's going to be quite a feature. Thank you.
Okay, well, I renew my motion to have House File 2251 laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And since we have a freshman that wants to go to a party, we'll get you next. House File 2035 and 1941. You want to
Sure.
you want to lay over House File 1941 first?
Yeah, we'll do House File 2035 right now.
Okay. We'll lay that over for possible inclusion.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Committee. I'm here to introduce House File 2035, which regards the Midwest Art Conservation Center. Midwest Conservation Center is a well-respected nonprofit organization that is involved in the restoration and preservation of historic and culturally significant art. Something that's sort of been on my mind as we've toured the Capitol and see all the wonderful restoration to the walls, the frescoes, and the important artwork. This organization does that with artwork that is in museums, universities, institutions around not only the state but the country. This is an important organization. I'm going to introduce the Executive Director, Colin Turner, to give a short presentation on it. And as we're doing that, we're going to have some cupcakes
passed out here. Freshman treats here to hold you over for the next hour, maybe.
Thank you very much. Please give your name for the record.
I'm Colin Turner, Executive Director of the nonprofit Midwest Art Conservation Center. Chair Gunther, representatives, thank you very much for giving me a little bit of your time to explain our organization, its work, and how we can fulfill an important but missing element in legacy amendment support. The Midwest Art Conservation Center is known as MACC, or as most people call us, MAC. Second page shows a mission statement. The Midwest Art Conservation Center is a nonprofit organization devoted to the conservation and preservation of art and artifacts. The next page, about MAC. There are only 5 of these organizations in the entire country. This is our 40th year in operation. There's one in Pennsylvania, one in Ohio, one in Massachusetts, one in California. They're all independent nonprofit organizations. Are we looking for? Good. You've got your packets? Thank you. Here. There you go. Right. Thank you. No problem. The work we do ensures that Minnesotans have a lasting access to our cultural legacy. Art and artifacts are the physical evidence of our art and cultural heritages, and these need to be preserved. Art conservators have advanced degrees in art conservation with training in studio arts, art history, and organic chemistry. They each specialize in one of the 4 areas of conservation: paintings, works on paper, textiles, and objects. We serve hundreds of public institutions across all of Minnesota. There are only a few large institutions in our state. The vast majority of our Minnesota's publicly held collections are found in locations that are small to mid-sized institutions. Many of these are places run on very small budgets and rely heavily on volunteers such as retirees and students. The following pages list these collecting institutions. You've got them printed out, so I'm sure you can take a look at them. I won't go through them here. I believe there are over 600 locations listed there. There are certainly additional organizations that hold collections, but those just have not discovered us yet. We provide Minnesota institutions with free and reduced cost services in 4 programming areas. Conservation treatments done either in our facility or on site ensure that specific works of art and cultural artifacts can be exhibited, that they'll endure over time, and they won't further deteriorate. Treatments ensure that Minnesotans will have access to specific works of art and historic artifacts now and into the future. We provide collection managers, whether they're professionals or volunteers, with free assistance about their collections. We answer thousands of phone call and email questions about collections care issues every year. These institutions need this assistance and benefit greatly from our skilled staff's knowledge and understanding of the materials and histories of their art and artifacts. Our preservation services programming is focused on the environmental conditions within institutions. We offer trainings and assessments as well as 24/7 emergency response. When there's a natural disaster or a pipe freezes or bursts, or when there's an incident of vandalism or fire, institutions call us for immediate advice and assistance. Conservators give important practical steps in salvage and recovery, techniques to prevent damage to their collection or to stop further damage. We also freely loan collecting institutions light meters and data logger monitoring equipment to help them understand and improve their collection environments. We conduct many tours and presentations to wider audiences through our public programming. College chemistry students, art history students, volunteers at historical societies, and lifelong learners enjoy and learn about the direct physical preservation and conservation of art and artifacts, and what a varied and variable shared cultural heritage we have as Minnesotans. Minnesota communities only want to preserve what they have already determined they value. Minnesota's art and artifact collections are extremely valuable, not only monetarily, but historically. These are the physical assets of our heritage and are not replaceable. Each year, additional art is created, and more items are added to this legacy in need of preservation.
I'm eating this.
I'm here because of a missing element in the legacy support: programming that addresses the direct physical conservation and preservation of Minnesota's art and artifacts. Minnesota is fortunate to have MAC located here, and MAC feels fortunate to be a Minnesota nonprofit organization. We believe our work was an expectation of many communities when the Legacy Amendment was passed. We did receive operating support from the Minnesota State Arts Board for 3 years, 2012, 2013, and 2014. However, in 2015, they informed us that they were correcting a past error on their part and that their focus was on the production and presentation of art. We appealed that decision and went through various other efforts over the last few years. However, in the end, what we do is not what they fund. We love the creation and presentation of art. In fact, we have an artist on our board of directors, but that's not what we do. What we do is the direct physical conservation and preservation of art and artifacts, and we feel it's currently a missing element in Legacy Amendment allocations, and we ask for your support. With funding, we'll provide Minnesota with more of our core services, and we will develop and provide trainings and practical knowledge building to small and medium-sized collecting institutions across the state so they can actively build preventive conservation programs at their institutions. If you think of those conservation treatments as hospital surgeries, then the preventive conservation is kind of the wellness and preventive health measures.
Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sir, I don't understand.
I'm sorry, one moment. Oh, please. Discussion. Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't understand what the $125,000 and the $125,000 will buy us.
It will enhance our core services and get us programming, build programming for institutions across the state in small and medium-sized institutions, to build them training programs so that they can have preventive conservation, active preventive conservation programs in their institutions.
So, Mr. Chair, sir, you would train the people that have artworks that need some repair or some enhancements?
Mr. Chair.
And you would train them to do it in a proper manner?
That's right, Mr. Chair, Representative. Yes, we have educational programming like that already through our Preservation Services Program. This would be very specific to preventive conservation measures in these smaller and mid-sized institutions, training their volunteers and training their staff to care for their collections in those particular areas that were listed.
And, Mr. Chair, sir, do you have a plan for your training program so that we would be able to tell that it's not, that it is indeed supplementing rather than supplanting?
Yes, yes, I can get that to committee members.
Well, I would appreciate that. And also, who do you plan to be the fiscal agent?
Mr. Chair, Representative, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
Right. But I mean, is this going to go, do you want this to go through the, you said before that you applied for a grant and you didn't receive it, and was that from the Arts Board?
Commissioner Admin.
Or from the
Chair,
admin?
Representative, we did receive grants from the Arts Board until they changed their interpretation of their eligibility for us, and so this appropriation is from the Commissioner of Administration.
And do you have the outcomes worked out on what we could see that you have, are your goals and your outcomes?
Yes, I can provide, pardon me, Chair, Representative, I can provide information about our planning and programming. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other members have questions?
They do good things.
No, seeing none. I will, Representative Anselmo, you want to renew your motion to have House File?
Yeah, I'd like to renew the motion for House File 2035 to be included in the omnibus bill.
Very well. Now for House File 1941.
Thank you, Chair, Representatives.
Thank you. Quite an impressive list.
That's true. If I didn't have a towel for it.
You want to move your bill?
Chair, I'd like to move House File 1041.
Very well.
All right. I am here to introduce a bill here that is seeking funding for Minnesota Public Radio as it refers to legacy grants. The bill that we have before us here is seeking funds of $1,750,000 for fiscal year 2018 and 19. I'm going to introduce the executive director. I should say we don't have the executive director, the Public Affairs and Government Relations Director, Jan Kavanagh, to explain it.
Chair Gunther, members, thank you for the opportunity to speak to House File 1941. We appreciate Representative Anselmo, Representative Erdahl, and Representative Lillie for authoring the bill. Earlier this session, you were kind enough and generous enough to give us a 20-minute presentation, so I will be cutting this quite short. I want to go back to a couple things. Representative Erdahl asked a question the last time I presented about the Civil War homecoming presentation at MPR. I just want to let you know that that is being promoted to high schools. It's not available by CD yet, but we're looking at it and hopefully doing that. If you haven't had an opportunity to listen to it, it is a absolutely wonderful historical novel and music and a great combination. I encourage you to do that. Representative Green also asked about fees that we pay artists for our class notes program. I submitted a memo to Representative Green outlining those. I do have an example of that memo as well, if members so wish to have that, and I do have that with me this evening. One other item that I want to say is last time I met with you, I pointed out a program that actually has been moved off of legacy funding that is successful, and that was the Minnesota Varsity Program. We also have another program that we've done that with. It's called Play It Forward. It's a matter of getting instruments donated from the public and actually distributing them to students in schools throughout the state. It's an arrangement with the Minnesota Music Educators Association, and we're proud to again be moving programs off of legacy funding and getting them being successful with them without that funding. This is MPR's 50th anniversary this year. We have a lot of events coming up. We will get you an invite not only to our open house on May 6th, but also we'll update you on events in Moorhead, Bemidji, Winona, Ely, Collegeville, St. Peter, Rochester, and Mankato, among others. Again, we appreciate not only your time, but your past support of MPR and our legacy projects as well. Thank you.
I have no place to go on May 6th.
Any questions from the members? Okay, we have a Rick Heller that would like to testify. You have 2 minutes, Mr. Heller. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Gunther, and people on the Legacy Fund come testify on April 13th, 2017. My name is unofficially represent the twice exceptional print disabled. By permission of the chair, of course, I have approximately 14 handouts. I'd like to provide those with permission of the chair. I come to speak on 1941 bill. I was here approximately a week ago. I talked about public TV. I only ask one thing from this committee and from the Minnesota legislature, that when they use state money, that they make their documents fully accessible for people with blindness and print disability. I currently have reviewed their documents, both public TV and radio. They're not fully accessible. In fact, 1/3 of the public radio report that are mandated by the legislature, that come to the legislature, is not checked, however, is in image format. I don't believe it's fair or equal or equitable, should I say? Because we need fairness in saying this for transparency. The legislature has a responsibility to bring transparency for the public when we use state money. The blue sheet that I have was a bill that was helped written to have a conversation with the LCC. Greg is the director with the LC Legislative Coordinating Commission. He suggests it's not a very good bill, but with a simple referral to go back up to revisor and improve this, I think we could have more transparency. And I hope one of these individuals, perhaps at this meeting or the Minnesota legislature, would refer me up there, and Greg and I could have a short discussion to improve that bill. I appreciate your time and consideration, and Mr. Guthrie, that you reconsider, and how well you work with the people that have blindness, that we could reconsider constructing to make the legislature more transparent when third-party vendors use state sales tax to access the community with fairness and sameness. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today.
Thank you.
Chair Gunther, members, John Kavanaugh with NPR. AMPERS is not NPR, as outlined in this document. I appreciate Mr. Heller's position, but I also want to point out that they are two different organizations.
You.
Thank you.
Representative Anselmo, would you like to renew your motion?
I would like to renew my motion for House File 1941 to be included in the bill.
Very well. We'll lay this over for possible inclusion. Thank you
Thank
very
you, Chair
much.
Gunther. Committee.
Representative Pugh and then Representative Mahoney. I will move House File 2232, possible inclusion in an omnibus bill. Would you go ahead and present your bill?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members and hardworking staff members. Maybe the latest committee here tonight, so appreciate this. Mr. Chairman, I have an oral amendment, a very brief oral amendment that would reflect the bid that we received last Friday, which should be in your packets, maybe inserted in your packets. On line 1.6 of the bill, we have asked for $90,000, and the updated bid, and that was from October of 2014. The updated bid came in again last Friday for $97,410. So if I could make an oral amendment, please, to insert $97,410 for the $90,000 on line 1.6.
Very well. Everybody understand the oral amendment? And I don't think there's a lot of magic to it, so you want to read it. You want to read it?
Chair and members, the oral amendment is page 1, line 6. Delete 90,000 and insert 97,410.
Okay. All in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I won.
You did it.
Thank you, Representative Murphy. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm before you today to appeal for funding from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund for the restoration and repair of the unique and beautiful stained glass windows of the Fort Snelling Memorial Chapel, one of our state's treasures on the National Register of Historic Places. And you should have a packet, members and members of the public. We also have a handout in the back of the room. I'd like to highlight a few of the notable individuals featured on the window designs, including Reverend Benjamin Whipple, who was the first bishop in Minnesota. Ezekiel Gilbert Gear was the first chaplain at Fort Snelling. Also, and I noticed Representative Clark was here, who has a bill before your committee speaking to the Dakota language preservation. So one of the stained glass windows at the Fort Snelling Veterans Memorial Chapel is of pioneer missionaries who reduced the Dakota language to writing, and especially to the memory of Gideon and Samuel Pond. And then lastly, and everyone will recognize this name, the illustrious Most Reverend John Ireland. So John Ireland of John Ireland Boulevard now, chaplain of the 6th or 5th Minnesota Civil War. The former U.S. Army Chapel was built 90 years ago for $54,000 through the generous donations of our fellow citizens of Minnesota, and has stained glass windows as old as the structure. When the active Army left the Fort Snelling installation in 1946, the chapel fell into disuse and was subject to vandalism for 20 years, until the nonprofit Fort Snelling Memorial Chapel Foundation was established 50 years ago in 1967. In that year, to save the chapel from the wrecking ball. And I wanted to highlight at this time, members, in your packet, I have in here a House resolution that I did that was signed by Speaker of the House Kurt Dowd and Majority Leader Joyce Pepin and myself, and then the Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka. And I wanted to highlight a couple of things in the, actually I'll just highlight one, but the point is that the state of Minnesota, one of the whereases, the state of Minnesota does not subsidize these services, but the Fort Snelling Memorial Chapel Foundation rents its historic chapel and has contributed over and beyond the lease agreement to the historic chapel's maintenance sum, $315,000, to include the restoration of the original Kimball pipe organ and central air conditioning. So this body, the Fort Snelling Memorial Chapel Foundation, has contributed through its members $315,000 of in-kind contributions to this state asset. These stained glass windows, rich in the history documented in your binders, have not been repaired or professionally cleaned since they were installed. The accumulation of decades of dirt and aged protective plexiglass on the outside are resulting in a significant loss of the full color beauty of these works of art. The Fort Snelling Memorial Chapel Foundation has demonstrated in word and deed its purposeful commitment to maintain a chapel as a spiritual center of religious, historical, and patriotic activities. In fact, the members have donated, as I said, over $315,000, and the list of items is in the detail in your packet. The time is right as we prepare for thousands of visitors to Fort Snelling for the upcoming bicentennial in 2020 to make the stained glass windows of this sacred shrine to our veterans as bright and beautiful as presented in this proposal. So I thank the committee for their consideration, and I would answer any questions if anyone has any.
Do we have any questions? Representative McGee, yes.
Mr. Chair, I noticed there's a 1928 description of this house of worship, but in 1966 it became a Christian center. What about the other faiths? Are they allowed to use this, or people of other denominations?
Representative Pugh.
Mr. Chairman and Representative Wagenius, I believe that it is an all-denominational Christian chapel, so I don't have a specific answer for you about that, but it was this foundation that was formed 50 years ago that saved this facility from the wrecking ball. It was going to be a part of the demolition with the highway construction that was occurring at that point, and I believe that the specifics are in your packet. And so right now, the Fort Snelling Veterans Memorial Chapel is there, and the foundation rents from actually it's the DNR, that the state owns the property, and the foundation rents from the DNR.
Representative Wagenius.
Okay, so then I think our question is actually for DNR, not from.
Only we can ask Representative Pugh to bring that information back to you.
I think that sounds like a really good idea. I mean, if this is a state-owned facility, it's one thing, and so it's not a private foundation ownership. That's good. But I think we need to clarify if there are opportunities for other people of faith that might be not Christian, but people of faith to use the chapel.
I agree.
Mr. Chairman and Representative, I would be happy to follow up on that,
you.
and I will do so.
Representative Lillie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative Pugh. The chapel's quite beautiful, as you mentioned, and one of the funniest things that's ever happened that I know of in my life, my wife was playing at a funeral and a mouse ran across her feet a couple times there, and so maybe you can plug those holes too.
Thank you for sharing that, Representative Lillie.
Seeing any more questions? I will renew my motion to have House File 2232 be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I appreciate your consideration.
And Representative Mahoney, Representative Clark's got a 5-year-old, so she trumps you, but you can take your time coming down with your toe. A 5-year-old trumps.
Mr. Chairman, I know we have the, one more person who needs to sign it here.
Oh, we have 2 amendments. You want to be?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the amendment is Representative Erdahl's, the DE2 amendment, and then I have an oral amendment to correct a couple technical things.
Representative Erdahl.
Mr. Chairman, I move the DE2 amendment. Have they moved the bill?
We got,
I think she.
I will move House File 2127 for possible inclusion of omnibus bill. Now we have Representative Erdahl's amendment, the DE2 amendment.
Right, this, Mr. Chairman, there's a little bit of a mix-up in that this bill, which is, this amendment, which is the Indian Affairs Council's bill, was sent to State Government Finance instead of here. And so that's why it necessitates us moving it as a delete all here.
Everybody understand the amendment? Representative Erdahl moves the DE2 amendment. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion covers. Now you have an oral amendment, Representative Clark.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I believe the council has it ready for us. It clears up a misnaming of the Neighborhood Early Learning Center, which it was, I believe, my mistake in giving that language to the writer, and then also clarifies that we are ensuring that Wachoye, which is the program that we're funding in here, can also work with additional partners in the Neighborhood Early Learning Center. So it's an oral amendment. If you can accept it, Mr. Chairman, we'd be grateful.
Do you want to present the amendment, oral amendment?
Chair and members, the A1 amendment, which I think was just passed out, is an amendment to the DE2 You can see it, the first instruction is on page 1, line 13. Before babies, insert potentially, and after space, insert and other partners. It also deletes Little Earth and inserts the word neighborhood. So it would read Neighborhood Early Learning Center. And then on page 1, line 16, before the period, insert and other neighborhood early learning center partners. So that's the A1 would be included in the DE2.
Is there any questions on the oral amendment? Seeing none, I will move Representative Clark's oral amendment to be put in the bill. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The bill should be the way you want it.
It is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we have a couple witnesses, and we'll be brief. I know you've been here long hours, but I'd like to hear from the Indian Affairs Council and then from one of our teachers at Wauchoyea and one of the students. So I'll start with the director of the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council.
Don't forget Representative Mahoney's toe.
He's still
We're
here.
remembering your toe.
He's hiding.
I know it hurts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go, give your name for the record.
Bonjour, Ogmag, Dash Ogmag Kwewag, Dennis Olson in Indigenous Ka Jaganashimung Dash Bidaban Indigo, Nagaju Anang and Dunjaba, Makundo Dame. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members. My name is Dennis Olson. I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present our support for House File 2127. As the Executive Director of the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council, I offer our formal support, which proposes to appropriate funds to support the continued preservation and revitalization efforts of the Dakota and Ojibwe languages through grants administered by the Indian Affairs Council. These two languages are the original native languages spoken in what is now known as Minnesota. These two native languages are distinctly different from one another, but both are considered endangered languages, which means they are on the verge of becoming extinct and lost forever. We contend that nothing represents the rich cultural heritage of Minnesota more than its indigenous languages, and maintaining and revitalizing the original languages of the original inhabitants of this land known by the Dakota as Nisota Makoche is key. The Indian Affairs Council has received an appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund since 2010 and has awarded numerous grants to institutions and organizations throughout the state with the sole purpose of revitalizing native languages. The Indian Affairs Council plays a critical role in administering this statewide grant program and has committed to continue to carefully monitor the grant-funded projects along with careful review and approval of payments. We have prepared a complete overview of the current programs throughout the state and have been funded this biennium through this grant opportunity and have included a short project description of each in your packets for your review, along with a map of currently funded projects. For the 2016-17 biennium, we've been able to award grants to 2 community-based organizations, 3 early childhood immersion programs, 4 post-secondary institutions, including 2 tribal colleges, 2 local education agencies, 1 tribal school, and 5 tribal nations. When the request for proposals was released, nearly $3 million in grant funding requests were received. There is definitely a significant need. By administering these grants, we've discovered that language preservation and revitalization is of monumental concern and interest to many people locally, nationally, and throughout the world. By no stretch of the imagination is it a small or insignificant undertaking to revitalize an endangered language. We have elicited the help of native language practitioners, community members, educators, tribal elders, and policy advisors through the formation of a work group, which previously conducted a feasibility report on native language revitalization. This report examined current revitalization efforts, identified best practices, identified barriers to successful language revitalization, and outlined recommendations that can be taken by tribal governments, the Minnesota legislature, and state agencies, including the Indian Affairs Council. The work group has also authored a draft strategic plan, and continued funding is necessary in order to continue convening the work group, move forward with finalizing and implementing the strategic plan, and provide additional recommendations for policy change. And Mr. Chair, finally, although we're here to speak primarily to you and the members about the Indian language preservation efforts in the state, I'd also like to mention that through the support of this committee, we've been able to maintain a successful and important partnership with the Minnesota Humanities Center to further develop programs to celebrate and preserve the artistic, historical, and cultural heritages of our people through the Why Treaties Matter exhibit. I want to thank you for the opportunity that allowed us to enter into partnership with the Humanities Center, and hope that you continue supporting our relationship, which will allow us to create an even greater impact by sharing the exhibit with more Minnesotans and create more culturally relevant curricular and training materials to share with educators. Thank you for your time this evening and for your support on behalf of our native languages of Minnesota. Miigwech.
Very well, thank you very much. Representative Clark, would you
Chairman, I'd like to-
introduce the other two guests?
Yes.
Hello, all my different kinds of relatives, Mr. Chair and the board. Nudanetsikwa indigenous cause, Mikinak Nindudem, Tawan, Ishkoniganing Nindunjaba. My Ojibwe name is Little Wind Woman. I'm of the Turtle Clan, and today Hannah's with us. I've been very fortunate to be able to work in the language revitalization community, and I'm so thankful that all of you have done the work that you've done. We've been very, very lucky to have our little ones. We're the only Dakota and Ojibwe language program. We're the only one that works in immersion at this early childhood level. And our interest is in expanding to build more teachers, because at this point, we don't have enough people that speak the language and are able to teach in the classroom to expand these programs. What we've seen through these, as we've compared these test results as far as kindergarten readiness, and our little ones that are in the immersion program consistently are able to score above and beyond what their peers are at when they're learning all of their curriculum in the language. So that's our hope. Today, little Hannah here, she came here and she was listening to you all, and she asked me what you were talking about. When we talked about, they're talking about clean water, and she asked me, can I sing a prayer song for the water? So these are the kinds of things that they learn, when they're speaking in the language. They get a new lens, a new way to look at the world. And that lens isn't just precious for us, but it's for everyone in the state of Minnesota. It's precious for all of us. We don't want to lose that way of looking at the world. So I asked Hannah, I said, what would you like to say? And she goes, I want to do a thank you for everything, the unseen beings that are around us here in the four directions. So that's what she asked to do. So these are the kinds of things that are so important. We don't want to lose this particular lens, and our young ones that carry these things forward. Wow. Ina, tell me.
Buju, Niwia Paganda Asama Wabanang and Jawanang Nikabanang Giwadanang Emma Akin Emma Nibikan Emma Espaming. Me good to meet you.
Miigwech, Hannah. What she's asking for is all those unseen beings that are around us, all around us that are part of our history here in this state, surround us as a prayer. Miigwech.
Thank you, Hannah. Representative Clark.
That's
I will
our-
renew my motion. Any questions from the members? Not many members left. I will remove my motion to have House File 2127 be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for moving us up on the agenda. Hannah will be able to go to bed on time tonight. Appreciate that.
Okay. Representative Mahoney.
I've been waiting for a while to be able to put this poster up.
You're doing pretty well.
Thank you. Been in my office for a while now. I'm going to actually just frame it and hang it in the office.
Very well. I will move House File 2214 for possible inclusion in our omnibus bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Right now, you're getting handed out a couple of color prints and letters of support from the community, both the Chinese and the Hmong community in the city of St. Paul and in the state of Minnesota. This park, this Chinese garden, has been part of our master plan that we redid at Phelan about 10 years ago. I'll be brief. I know you've got a long night.
You want the A1 amendment?
I don't know that I've seen the A1 amendment, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm getting told I want the A1 amendment.
Very well.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want the A1 amendment.
Representative Mahoney, can you explain your A1 amendment?
Yes, the A1 amendment is, it puts into language that we are going to do both the Chinese, we're honoring the Hmong and the Chinese traditions or the cultures.
Very well. All in favor of that? Everybody understand the motion? Amendment? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign. Your bill's the way you want it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. St. Paul and Changsha are sister cities. Changsha is a city in Hunan province in China. Phelan Regional Park, and I never get the name right. Van Hoos is the sister park, our sister parks in the city, and Van Hoos is one of the larger parks in Changsha. Phelan gets at least 1 million visitors every year and is projected to get over 1.5 million very soon in the near years. Changsha is an industrial center in Hunan province, and it is a city of 7.5 million people in the province of Hunan, which is 65 million people. Last year, Changsha decided we've been trying to put a Chinese garden in the state for a while. And we finally contacted them when we got $50,000 to do the design from the Legacy Committee. I think it was 2 years ago. And we and Changsha combined dollars to bring 2 of their top landscape artists here to the Twin Cities, to St. Paul, and to design this particular park. That's the design that they did. It is a beautiful piece. It's a very underused part of the park, and this will bring more visitors to the city of St. Paul, to the Lake Phelan area, and will elevate the relationship that we have, the economic development relationship we have with a city of this size and a province of this size. China happens to be our second or third largest trading partner, depending on, sometimes the fourth. It just depends on the quarter. I wanted to make note of what you can't see on this is if you sit in the pavilion and you look out across directly from the pavilion, you will see the statue Meditation, which is in the park and is done by, I'm going to butcher the name, so my witness will say the name. But just so you understand the value of this man, or the prestige of this man, he is also the artist that did the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C. He's a very famous artist in China and with a growing following here in America. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to turn it over to my witnesses to do a little bit more explaining, and I will admonish them to be as brief as possible.
Give your name for the record, please.
My name is Linda Mealy Lohman, MEALEY-Lohmann, and I am the president and co-founder of the Minnesota China Friendship Garden Society. 你好，我是苗丽莲，我是明就中国友好花园协会的主席。So I just said that again in Chinese. I do have a master's degree in Chinese, and that is my passion here today. We started working on this China Garden project 12 years ago. And that included lots of trips to China and around the U.S. to study Chinese gardens. And here we are now. We have the St. Paul Changsha China Friendship Garden that's going to be at Phelan Park. This is a sister city project that's been going on for almost 30 years now. One of the key elements here is the pavilion, and you can kind of see that in the upper right-hand corner there. That pavilion, we have now learned after our trip to Changsha with Mayor Coleman in late 2015, we have now learned a few months ago that Changsha is going to gift us that pavilion. So they are working on that right now, a replica of that pavilion. That pavilion is a 1792 Qing Dynasty pavilion. It is one of the 4 famous pavilions in China. Anybody sees that pavilion or our replica will know where that came from. And it's a pretty big deal because this is the first gift that Minnesota has ever gotten from any of its 3 sister city relationships in China. And this really honors the contributions of the Minnesota Chinese here who have been in Minnesota since the 1870s. And in one of the letters by Joyce Xiao, she talks a little bit about the contributions of those Chinese to Minnesota. So it's a big deal. And that was made possible in large part by Master Lei Yixin, the sculptor that did the meditation sculpture that's there already. This will form the backdrop to his sculpture. The other big element here is the Hmong Cultural Plaza. Now, why would we have a Hmong Cultural Plaza in a China garden? A very good reason. The Minnesota Hmong, and Jeff will talk a little bit about this, the Minnesota Hmong trace their ancestral roots back to this area of China. And right now there are 2 million Miaozu, or Hmong ancestors, in the province, Hunan province, where Changsha, the sister city, is. So it's a great connection, and it's going to be a great opportunity to educate both the Chinese, the Hmong, and all Minnesotans about this ancestral connection. And we can do that through the Hmong Cultural Plaza. So why is this legacy money so important to us? We are working with the Changsha architects now because they are doing the structural construction designs for the pavilion itself. We hope to have that here sometime this summer. But we also want to honor both cultures, the Chinese culture and the Hmong culture. And so if we have the legacy funds to also put in the Hmong Cultural Plaza at the same time, then those 2 elements will be present at the same time, will honor both cultures, and will be a stepping stone to educate the community about that ancestral connection. Another piece that I want to share with you is that they're giving us a gift. So we are preparing a gift to send to Changsha. And who would have guessed, but Chinese love the Peanut statues, the Peanut characters, Snoopy and Linus and Lucy. And we are preparing a set of life-size Peanut statues to go to Phelan Park's sister park, Yanghu Wetlands Park. And as soon as we hope to start production of those. We've got the contracts lined up here, and it will be 5 life-size statues. What's unique about this is Lucy, we have commissioned, Lucy's dress will be commissioned, and we already have the design, by a Minnesota Hmong artist, Gaoli Yang, who is putting Lucy in a traditional Hmong costume. And then the Snoopy Dog House, we've commissioned Shen Yundong, a Chinese artist, and he has painted designs with 5 symbols of the state, lady slipper, loon, pine, and butterfly, in a Chinese brush style, and that will go on the walls. So these 5 statues with these 2 commissioned works will go over there and be installed there, and so we hope that will be a great connection then between the states. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jeff Vang.
Okay. Hi, my name is Gayen Jeff Vang, and I'm Hmong. I support this project because this is a unique project for the Hmong community, and we have a long history, about over 5,000-year history back in China. We are the Hmong, or Miaozu in Chinese, or in China. There are over 10 million Miaozu or Hmong people in China, and there are about 80,000 here in Minnesota, and over half of that is in St. Paul. So having a Chinese garden with the Hmong Culture Plaza here will give us a opportunity to trace our cultural history all the way back to China. So this is a good project for the Hmong community, and I am a advisory to the China Garden Society and also a board member of China Garden Society. So hope this will give us the opportunity to right here at St. Paul that we can also learn about our culture and history.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, and I'll finish with this, right, and then I'll be taking any questions. It's been very interesting to see the community come together. We have commitments. Once they see a state commitment to something like this, and they actually see some of the pieces going together. So our fundraising is actually going along very well. But like anything, they want to see one piece up before they actually write the check. So this is the start to that particular piece, and we'll finish off the whole project as the money comes, and we're going to get this all done.
How far is this from where you live?
Well, Leon rides by it almost every day, so it's about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile.
Pretty close.
You'll have to come on over for dinner, and we'll walk down there.
I'd like to just walk through there. I have a long-term relationship with Phelan Corridor.
Fair enough.
Yes, you do. Yes,
11
you
years
do.
in a row with.
Yes, you do.
But anyway, any questions from the members?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Mahoney and the testifiers. I'm very familiar with the parcel, as Representative Mahoney has mentioned, but it'd be a nice treasure, and I know you've worked hard at it, building the bridges between the Chinese and the Hmong, and trying to make this possible. And but it really is neat. The pagoda pavilion is really going to be a treasure, and just the whole thing. And I kind of envision that you're going to be able to do weddings there and other things out there, and it's pretty neat. It's kind of funny to look at this picture, because I think, didn't St. Paul do the ice castle on that island at one time? And
They did.
when you look at the picture there, it doesn't look like envision an ice castle there at one time. But anyways, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Seeing none, I will renew my motion to have House File 2214 be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Chair.
for the very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative
Thank you, committee members.
Thank you so much. 谢谢.
You're dealing with cartoon characters. How do you know what size life size is?
Real fast.
Me too.
Welcome to our committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your voice is getting quite a workout.
It has.
Yeah.
I will move House File 1898 to be laid over for possible, 1808 to be laid over for possible inclusion in omnibus bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members, and thank you for hearing House File 1808. It is a fairly simple proposal to create an arts app for use to explore the art across the state of Minnesota. And I want to tell you that this is the very good idea of a woman I met named Amy Dettmer. Amy Dettmer runs the Art Colony in Grand Marais, Minnesota. In 2015, I was invited to join Next Generation, which was a convening of people across the state of Minnesota to talk about art and placemaking in rural Minnesota, and in fact, in rural communities across the country. And what I learned from this group, and Mr. Chair, I think you're probably familiar with this group as well, and from the people that came together, is while we have a hard conversation here at the legislature at times about greater Minnesota, people living in greater and rural Minnesota think they've got a real good thing going on. And when I visit their communities, they're very proud to show me all sorts of things that are happening in their community. And I have discovered, as we know, and I'm sure you know, that there are examples of art all over the state of Minnesota. There are galleries and theaters and museums, a variety of things that people look to as identifying the place that they call home. They're proud of that. And I think it's something that we should treasure and we should promote, not only because it will show Minnesotans the value of what we're doing across the state of Minnesota, but because, as people in smaller communities like to say, the work that we've done here gives us a sense of place. That sense of placemaking is a way for us to build our community. And people in greater Minnesota are very proud of that work, and I think this is one way to demonstrate that. And with that, I would love to earn your support, and I hope that you would consider including this in your bill, Mr. Chair.
You may have any questions? Sounds like a great project. Seeing no questions, I will move House File 1808 be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I hope you have a good rest of your hearing.
Correct.
I think that one's got a pretty good chance.
It's a good idea. Should bring us together.
Thank
you.
And next, Nels, Pierson, and you're after me. Okay, one. Don't see Nels here.
You might have given up.
We're running towards the end.
Okay. So did you want me to go, or did you just say another House member? Is that what you said?
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
I will move House File 1986,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members for holding out so long to be able to hear this important bill for our community. This is a lake that's a very popular lake in Ramsey County. I grew up in our community, and I skied on it and ice fished on it and sailed on it and swam in it. So it's one of the most popular ones, and I'm going to just leave it at that and have our Mayor Val Johnson and the association president on Long Lake, Rich Cusick. Hopefully I said that right. Okay, so thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Val Johnson. I happen to be the mayor of New Brighton, Minnesota. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Long Lake tonight and bring you up to speed on why we're here asking for this appropriation. Long Lake is 186 acres, and it's located at the corner of 694 and 35W in New Brighton. The lake includes the very popular 217-acre Long Lake Regional Park and swimming beach, as well as a public boat launch. The lake is heavily used by the general public for swimming, fishing, boating, and other recreational endeavors. Eurasian water milfoil was discovered towards the end of 2015. In 2016, significant growth to more than 15 acres throughout the lake occurred, which is almost 10% of the shoreline in 1 year. Curly leaf pondweed was reported as an issue in 2012, resulting in a 29% increase between then and 2016, or an average of 7% growth rate per year. And so why is this an issue? Left untreated, it will take over all of the lakeshore and waters up to 6 foot deep. It upsets the ecosystem due to its density, as ducks, fish, and other wildlife cannot swim through it. Natural predatory fish lose their shelter. Native plants are overgrown and have trouble surviving. And there's threats to our swimmers who can become entangled, as well as the difficulty running our boats and motors. And quite frankly, it's just a very intrusive weed that is going to eventually kill our lake and kill the wildlife within that lake. So I'd like to, at this point, turn it over to Rich Cusick, who is the head of the Long Lake Association, to explain some of the areas that we've already pursued in trying to garner funds for this endeavor.
Welcome to our committee. Give your name for the record.
My name is Rich Cusick, and I'm president of the Long Lake Improvement Association of New Brighton. And over the past year, I've been, since it was found out that we had Eurasian water milfoil, which is the bigger of the two problems, I've been working with every department that I can find to educate and work on this issue. And I've worked with the Minnesota DNR, the Ramsey County Park and Rec, Rice Creek Watershed District, Ramsey County Watershed District, Ramsey County Conservation District, Friends of the Mississippi, as well as City of New Brighton, researching this to find out what we can do. And there's plenty of information on the research, but it's the funding for the remediation that we're looking for that we haven't been able to find, and that's why we're here today, is to ask for money for the remediation. At this time, there is no known eradication, so you have to remediate every year, and that's chemically done in our case. And so we're trying to find funding to help do that. That's it.
If I could add, please, it's interesting that we would be coming to you here in front of the Legacy Fund. We're asking for appropriations from the Legacy Fund. And one of the reasons that we're turning here is because this lake has a legacy. If you go back to 1891, James J. Hill, the Pillsbury family, the Dunwoodies, all created a stockyard that was attached or located right next to the lake. And the reason it was by the lake is so that they could harvest the ice and bring that up to the packing house. Rendering plants were built, hotels were built, the city was incorporated, and all of this because they had access to the lakes. Well, in 1900, the city of New Brighton and the citizens of New Brighton closed down the packing house. And the reason they closed down the packing house is because it was endangering our lake, our gem, and the resources that were needed to clean it were simply not available. So we have a legacy within that lake, and I, as mayor, can look at this and say, well, back in the 1900s, the citizens of New Brighton took action to change their lifestyles in order to save the lake. And I think a $15,000 ask from all of you to maintain the quality of the lake and protect it in the same way that our ancestors did is a very small ask. So I appreciate your listening to us tonight and taking the time to consider this proposal to help keep Long Lake a viable lake within Ramsey County and for our citizens in New Brighton. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the members? Seeing none, I will renew my motion to have House File 1986 be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Thank you, Chair and members.
Next, we have Representative Pierson.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Welcome to our committee. I will move House File 2192, possible inclusion in our omnibus bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. House File 2192, we're reflecting a lot on legacy this evening, and as I reflect on legacy, I think about my own family and the heritage of where I came from. And one of the things that's always been kind of striking to me that my father taught me about our legacy was, you know, when the Swedes came over to the United States, they were known for hard work, and they did what they were told, and frankly, they were referred frequently as green Swedes. If you got a green Swede off the boat, you were in great shape because they would work hard and get a lot done for you, and that legacy is something that's perpetuated in our culture, and we kind of know that, and yet we've got a past and a distant past and a present past that we need to talk about as we move forward as well. And so House File 2192 looks to other folks of various cultures and their story of how they came to the United States or how they've been in the United States an awfully long time. And so that's just something that we're doing, and I like this specific proposal because it also then goes a step further and incorporates multi-generational activities as well, which is something that my testifier will speak towards as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to my testifier.
Welcome to our committee. Give your name for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Benjamin Mackay. I'm the Executive Director and founder of African American Registry and creator of the Street Team INNW Youth and Elder Interracial intergenerational program. Now, African American Registry will be 17 years old in July this summer. I am a historian, an educational consultant, and we have a tendency to address race in a very comprehensive manner. We have the most comprehensive database of African American heritage that you can find in the state of Minnesota. But getting to our youth and elder program, INNW, which stands for If Not Now When, what we do is we create a safe place for youth to engage their world through what we call mirrors and windows. We allow them to see themselves reflected equally and see others reflected equally as well. So without further ado, rather than for me to explain it, I have a short 3.5-minute video trailer from our very first street team If Not Now When program I would like to play for the committee.
I was born in 1945 in Jacksonville, Florida.
I grew up doing Jim Crow.
Hi, I'm Felicia, project manager of the street team for the African American Registry. The street team for me is a really big deal. I kind of took it on as a baby and let it grow into a flower with 3 students from Mount Zion, a temple in St. Paul. So you guys interviewed 2 elders, and they told you stories that were very personal to them. How are you going to make sure that the memories that they shared with you aren't going to be destroyed?
Well, I mean, if the time arises and the opportunity comes, I can tell their story, or parts of it, if I remember. And I mean, it's one of those things where if I have kids, I'll tell them, definitely.
Yeah, that's a neat way to pass on the stories. I like that. Thank you, David. All right, so Phoebe, you could have done anything with your summers. What sparked your interest in becoming involved with the street team project?
Honestly, it was Anna. Like, she just texted me, she's like, hey, you should do this. So I said, why not? And then it turned out to be really cool, so I kept doing it.
Did she tell you anything about the project? What did she tell you about it?
She told me that it would be interviewing elders and talking about history from a personal point of view, and I really like personal stories, so that was interesting to me.
Yeah, and you guys always refer to the project as cool, and it sounded cool. Why did it sound cool to you?
Because I got to talk to people and ask them questions, and that's not something I usually do, and then it was put on record, and I'm just like, oh, well, that's really awesome-ish. I mean, I'm scared, but that's really cool.
Yeah, and you did a great job with it, too, with your interviews. Thank you. So what about your experiences now in school? How do you go about your daily interactions with people?
Now, sometimes if I hear a racist joke, I'll tell them to stop, and then I've told my friends already, like, what are the stories that I heard, and now they've kind of stopped doing that. So.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I commend you for doing that, because it's not always so easy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And how does the community of Jewish youth at Mount Zion benefit from the Street Team Project?
You know, I think that the teens and Mount Zion in general just benefit from making those connections with our history and with other people's history. And I think that that's a really important step in making sure we are more understanding of the world in general and that horrible things don't happen again. In Judaism, there's this phrase, never again, that we use to talk about the Holocaust, saying that we always need to be vigilant and make sure that we are never taking those first steps to have something as horrible as the Holocaust happen again. And that's at the back of our minds. And I think that learning about something like Jim Crow, which is horrible as well, and really seeing where those 2 incidents, those 2 events, those 2 times in history are similar and where they're different, and how things started off to get to those awful happenings is just a very important step for everybody to be aware of. And the more learning we have, the more that my teens can go out in the world and be advocates for good.
Chairman and committee members, If Not Now When is a district-based program that leverages the registry's well-established, high-quality database of resources and information about African American history, culture, and heritage. The proposed train-the-trainer model is embedded into If Not Now When. What does that mean? Well, it will use the assets of each geographic and racial ethnic community community to deliver the program and share the impact. By training and supporting local leaders, interns from established partner organizations, they will benefit from the strong, trusting relationships that these organizations have built in their respective communities. The relationships will be critical to the success of recruiting participants and sharing the impact more broadly. Each partner's cultural and geographic expertise will be solicited in order to create a model that is accessible, that is responsible, and respectable of various traditions. In the mode of John Chapman, AKA Johnny Appleseed, who planted apple seeds in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Ontario, and Indiana, INNW, we plant culture and legacy. We have partners, the NAACP in both Duluth and Rochester. We'll be at the Eastside Freedom Library in St. Paul, working with the Hmong community and African Americans, and we plan to give our material away. We'll plant the seed and then walk away and allow the community to replicate INNW indefinitely. Questions, comments?
Any questions from the members? Seeing none, it was a very good educational program. Thank you for introducing your culture and your heritage to so many people. And with that, Representative Pierson, I will renew my motion to have House File 2192 be laid over for possible inclusion or omnibus bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members.
Representative Moran, I saved my best for last. Two of my favorite members from my last committee. I will, where's it? House File, I will lay over House File 1898 for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. And Mr. Chair, I'm listening to you, so I want you to go home and take care of yourself.
I want to go.
Okay, all right. But I just want to thank you for allowing us to come before the member in this committee. So this bill is about the Hmong Cultural Center, who seeks a grant allocation to support the implementation of a long-term, comprehensive exhibit open to the public that will educate visitors about the folk art heritage of the Hmong Minnesotans. The Hmong Folk Art in Minnesota interactive exhibit, which will teach visitors about important Hmong folk art form, including Hmong musical instruments. So Hmong embroidery and orally recited weddings and funeral songs. In 2017, the Hmong Cultural Center celebrated 25 years of teaching the community about the Hmong folk art heritage. The center has trained hundreds of children, youth, and adults in important Hmong art forms, including Kang.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, Kang instrument played in Hmong funerals and wedding songs over the years. The center also provides exhibits in a library that teaches large number of non-Hmongs about Hmong culture and the history every year. So the Hmong Cultural Center, it's a vital community institution that has been located in my district in Frogtown in St. Paul for a quarter of a century. A legacy grant will allow the center to build on its existing programming and exhibits to reach a more broader population with museum-quality, interactive, audiovisual exhibits that teaches visitors in a substantive, substantive, in a substantive way about the Hmong folk art tradition. And I'm going to end there and allow my testifiers to talk a little bit more.
Give your name for the record.
Mark Pfeiffer, Director of Programs, Hmong Cultural Center. And I'm just going to give a brief statement about our project, and then I'm going to turn over to Sean Pauli, Executive Director of Hmong Cultural Center. So all of you in your package should have our executive summary with more details about our project. Hopefully you have it. And also, we do have a couple of exhibit programs for existing exhibits at our center. And we are just about 5 blocks down the street, and invite you guys to stop by sometime to see what our current exhibits. So the Hmong folk arts tradition of playing the keng and other musical instruments such as the 2-string violin and the ya or the mouth harp, as well as the learning of orally recited wedding and funeral songs, are endangered due to ongoing patterns of cultural assimilation and the loss of knowledge of the Hmong language among young people growing up in the United States. A focus of this project and Hmong Cultural Center's broader arts-related mission is to promote knowledge of traditional Hmong folk arts forms among the sizable Hmong community, as well as the broader community of Minnesota as a means of multicultural education. The organization's ongoing emphasis on teaching traditional Hmong folk arts over the past quarter century is deeply connected to the cultural heritage of Hmong Minnesotans. The Hmong are the largest Asian ethnic community in Minnesota. And this is Sean Pauli.
Sean Pauli, the Executive Director of Hmong Cultural Center. Through our educational display panel, interactive iPad station, and corresponding exhibit program and curriculum, visitors to the Hmong Folk Art interactive exhibit to learn about the Hmong history and role and key folk art from including musical instrument, wedding and funeral song and embroidery in the Hmong Cultural Center. How the Hmong Minnesota have worked to pass on this art form over 40 years in the state of Minnesota, the role this art form continues to serve in the life of Hmong residents in Minnesota. It is a key goal of the Hmong Folk Art Interactive Exhibit project to help the center to reach much larger population of Hmong and Hmong children, youth, and adults with professional musician quality exhibit, helping the center to fulfill its mission to promote the personal development and children, youth, and adults through the cultural educational will enhance cross-cultural awareness and understanding between Hmong and non-Hmong persons. The current project strongly follows Hmong Cultural Center's unique heritage over 25 past years, teaching the public about Hmong folk art form and will build on previous exhibit Hmong Minnesota yesterday and today, installed at the Hmong Cultural Center over the past 2 years. Mr. Chair and all the committee, I would like to invite all of you to stop by at the Hmong Cultural Center to see what we have in there to educate our young Hmong and non-Hmong come to the Cultural Center every day. Thank you. Any question?
Any questions from the members? At this time of night, they don't ask a lot of questions. Representative Lillie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real quick, I see we've got the history folks out in the crowd, and I remember was that 2015, the 40th anniversary up at the History Center, they did a great Hmong exhibit, and I don't know if members ever get a chance to get over to the Minneapolis Institute of Art, and you can, there's a whole room of former Representative Sai Tao's art that's on a, I mean, his wall is big as this.
I got a whole book of it at home.
Of Sai Tao's art? Wow. Anyways, but thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members, I had the opportunity to visit the grand opening of the museum and was really, really impressed with the setup, the visuals that really, really took you back into the Hmong, into Laos, right? And was really impressed with the musical instruments. And so what this extension would do and allow the museum to do was those musical instruments that I was just able to look at, that they would create a process where you can hear what those instruments sound like. And so I was impressed with this first stage of development, and I really look forward to hearing what those instruments look like and sound like.
When are you open?
We are open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday. Appointments we can do too, weekend.
With that, I will have 1892 be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next, we have Representative Ecklund. I figured I could get by having you last, because we're good friends. And I knew he'd testify, and he's probably better off being here than somewhere else.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. This will be quick, I guarantee it.
House File 1485 will be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. About 10 years ago, the Kuching County Board and the St. Louis County Board came together to form a joint powers board called the Voyageurs National Park Clean Water Board to bring sewage treatment plants and projects to the gateway communities of Voyageurs National Park. So this bill is asking for $2 million to finish up the Island View Sewer Project, which will bring sanitary sewer from the city of International Falls out to the islands to the resorts on Dove Island, which are Shea Shea, Island View, Thunderbird, and then one of the biggest parts of it is there's several lots out there that can be developed with sanitary sewer where they couldn't be developed now because of having to have redundant systems. They would have to sell 2 lots to build 1 house. So with that, Mr. Chair, and the last thing on it is it was number 30 on the PFA list and was originally in Representative Torkelson's House File 1731, but it was left out for some reason, and that's why we introduced this bill. With that, I have Gary Sirvanek to talk about it.
Representative Wordall, do you have it? Is that in your bill? Number 30 will be funded, right?
I don't know. What's the number?
30 in the PFA's list. Well, we'll use Phyllis Kahn's way of operating, put it as many places as possible.
I am not sure.
I've received that advice from other members too, Mr. Chair. So.
Okay. Any questions from members? Do you have anything you want to add?
Mr. Chairman, with respect to the old saying, the last shall be first if they keep it short, the only thing I'd like to add is this is a nationally recognized project that received $4.5 million from the Army Corps of Engineers as well to address the serious problems of the waters at the national park. Thank you.
Important part of our northern tourism. And with that, I will renew my motion to have 1485 be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members.
And we have a bill from Representative Runbeck that we have. She's not here, but her testifiers are. So I will move House File 1610 be laid over for possible inclusion. Would you please give your name and your testimony?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Steve Sullivan. I'm the Director of Parks with Dakota County. Thank you for consideration to House File 1610. This is really simply a technical amendment that requests reallocation of 2016-2017 Parks and Trail Legacy funds that were provided both to Dakota and Anoka County. We're asking that a portion of those funds be redirected to Wargo Nature Center, $438,000, That's the Anoka portion, and then in the case of Dakota County, 180,000 go to Whitetail Woods Regional Park. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Representative Murphy?
Mr. Chair. So this money has been awarded for another purpose? Or what was it first awarded for? How, is it legacy money that was awarded to Anoka County and to Dakota County?
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, yes, it was. In the case of Dakota County, the project that it was awarded to was the Vermilion Regional Trail. That project ended up moving forward quicker than the funds were available, so we used alternative funds. And so we're simply asking for a replacement of those funds to be used at Whitetail Woods Regional Park.
Representative Murphy?
What about Anoka County?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my Anoka County friends are not here, but what I've been told is they had two projects where. Yes.
Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Ward Inez, representing Anoka County. The question's a good one. The $430,000 was awarded as a reimbursable project, and the rules have changed for what is reimbursable. Those are no longer eligible expenses, so we're just asking for a reallocation to a project at Bunker Hill Regional Park due to that rule change.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like an earmark.
Sounds
Representative Murphy? Seeing any other questions?
I have no other questions.
For you, another question? With that, I will move that House File 1610 be laid over possible inclusion in our omnibus bill.
Thank you.
And next we have
Still count.
Representative Lillie.
It still counts in this
Put him in the
year's
trash heap.
budget.
I figured
Too.
he'd been- Got props.
Welcome to your committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for having us. We'll be brief, of course. I'd like to move House File 2315 for your possible inclusion. We have some, oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have some picture boards that we could hand out, and then people could take a peek at them if they like. But House File 2315's a bill that's been brought forward by the Minnesota State Council of, on Disability, and it's trying to address some of our gaps and serving our community better of statewide significance. So I'm gonna pass this to George, right? Or who's, are you gonna go? Okay.
Would you give your name for the record?
Hi, I'm Joan Wilshire, the Executive Director of the State Council on Disability, and this goes with the posters. It's a brailled, all the captions below are brailled here, so if anybody would need this, who's looking at the photos, would be able to see that it's also brailled. And so we've made this fully accessible for everyone to participate in this presentation this evening. I'll pass it around so you can all take a look at what the braille feels like and looks like. Okay. So, for 43 years, Ms. Scott has served as the state's primary resource on accessibility and disability policy, working at the intersection of the ADA, State Building Code, and the Minnesota Human Rights Act. The purpose of legacy funds is to honor the natural and cultural legacy of the state of Minnesota In our case, Minnesota played a unique and powerful role in the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, a landmark civil rights law for the disability community. In light of that, in FY 14-15, in anticipation of the 25th anniversary of the ADA in July 2015, MISCAD applied for and received funding for the creation of a Twin Cities public television documentary on the history of the ADA from Minnesota's perspective, featuring former U.S. Senator Dave Dettmer, along with former U.S. Senator Tom Harkin from Iowa. Both of these two gentlemen were instrumental in creating the ADA. And we also created a live TPT broadcast of employment dialogue, which again featured the U.S. Senator Tom Harkin, and a large ADA celebration with over 900 people attending at the Minnesota History Center. Both of these two TPT films were just recently nominated last fall for the Midwest Emmys. We did not win the Emmys. I have to tell you who won the Emmys because it's kind of funny. It was the Iowa caucus video that beat us out in one of the categories. There's a little humor there. So the event that was a rousing success was the event at the History Center because of the 900 plus people that were there. And this was, we were able to collaborate with the History Center, which is now, you'll hear in a little bit how we're working together in the future. We had compelling exhibits on the ADA, and also celebrated the cultural fabric of the disability community. We commissioned artists with disabilities to produce artwork about what the ADA means to them. One of the posters I'll show you here, and that is designed and created by Annie Young. This painting was done by this artist. She is blind, and it's just a testament to what artists with disabilities can do in our community. And there's a few other posters here too that we'll just show that depict the history of the ADA that we also commissioned with other people with disabilities as well. Then in October 2015, that same year, we held an employment dialogue and job fair for Minnesotans with disabilities. The disability community experienced one of the highest unemployment rates in any demographic, and we wanted to reflect that 25 years after the passage of the ADA on the barriers to employment that still exist for Minnesotans with disabilities. We are joined by that event by former Iowa Senator, U.S. Senator Tom Harkin, again, one of the authors of the ADA, to discuss the impact of this law. Finally, we have partnered this last summer, this last set of legacy funds with the CTV Community TV in Roseville and Amper's Community Radio to produce programming for the legacy of the ADA. We partnered with the CTV TV to film interviews with Commissioner of Human Rights, Kevin Lindsay, Jamie Tincher, the Governor's Chief of Staff, and along with numerous other human activists at the Minnesota State Fair. And also then the accessibility with the Ampers will be, it's going on right now on 90-second interviews with people with disabilities, the impact throughout the state in the outstate rural areas. So now I'm going to throw it over here to George Charlo, my legislative person, to talk about what we're proposing for this next legacy session.
Mr. Chair, members, George Chartlow, Legislative Coordinator with the State Council on Disability. So part of the feedback that we got after the 25th anniversary was that it was a wonderful event, but it would be even more wonderful to have a presence in greater Minnesota. So included in your packet should be a bullet point list of our current proposal, and it may make more sense to work from the bottom of the list up. So the first component of the proposal is funding for the metro area celebration at the State History Center. And then in addition to that, in response to that feedback we received, we are proposing to do 4 to 6 similar events in greater Minnesota, partnering with local organizations in those areas. And just to clarify, essentially the unit cost of an event is $5,000. So probably could have formatted that better, but that's what you see before you is an event per year with 4 to 6 local partners. Additionally, as part of disseminating some of the cultural material that comes from those, we partner with programming on Metro cable access television here in the cities, a program called Disability Viewpoints, and we support both their broadcasting fee and the cost of captioning their programs. So you see that reflected in this request, as well as the salary request for a 0.8 FTE to help with procurement for these celebrations, working with the cable access television, working on grant reporting, and then working with the State History Center to continue to institutionalize this work in their programming as well.
Thank you very much. Any questions for these testifiers? I used to be on a committee that had deaf and hard of hearing and state services for the blind. And they're very productive people that make a very good living. Over the $15 an hour they were talking about in Minneapolis and St. Paul. So it was really kind of nice to be in touch with them, and I appreciate all you do. And we have Mr. Heller would like to say something about this bill. We got a very short period of time. We got one more thing to go, Rick.
Oh, I thought we were almost done. Thank you again, Chair. My name is Rick Heller. I officially represent the twice exceptional Minnesota Statute 120B 1500 gifted and talented programming. Also, the people with print disabilities found in the Higher Education Act when they added the word opportunity to lifetime handicapped learners, which are blindness and print disability. Regarding 2351, question through the chair, if he chooses to. Will the department post their document online for transparency and accessibility reasons? Or will the Minnesota legislature, 31 pages of handouts, post them online? It's an optional piece this year, but that's the question I have for the Council on Disabilities. Will they post their documents with their proposal on their own website? So the legislature, if you don't have time, we got 32 documents, so.
Very well.
Mr. Chair, we're happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, Representative Lillie, would you like to renew your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Thank you for hearing this. It's really a neat proposal, and thank you for considering it. I'd like to move House File 2315 for possible inclusion in your bill, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last, but certainly not least, we have the Office of the State Archaeologist presentation and fund request. Bill. Since there's no bill number, we'll just lay this over for possible inclusion. Why don't you tell us what you need?
New job, Matt.
Welcome to our committee. Give your name for the record.
Mr. Chair and members, good evening. My name's Lori Bark-Pensky. I'm with the Department of Administration. For the last several years, I've served as the Director of Community Services, which includes the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities, who you heard from a couple weeks ago, as well as the Office of Grants Management, who administers many of the grants coming out of Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, as well as the State Archaeologist and other specialty areas. With me is Amanda Grunhoff, who's been the State Archaeologist for exactly 1 year today. So on behalf of admin and also the State Archaeologist, I want to thank you for the funding that you have provided to the Historical Society for the statewide survey work. The Historical Society, working with offices of state archaeologists and the Indian Affairs Council, has overseen the statewide survey, and we have learned so much about Minnesota archaeology that couldn't have happened without this funding. We're here tonight to talk about our non-Indian remains analysis and reburial project. We have the skeletal remains of approximately 100 non-Indian individuals that are stored at the Hamlin Osteology Lab, which is another name for a bone lab. The remains are being stored there for the state archaeologists as they're awaiting analysis and reburial. And we are here to seek arts and cultural heritage funding to be able to analyze the remains and then hopefully return these individuals to their relatives, communities of origin, or formally enter them into the teaching collection at Hamlin. You may wonder how these bones came to us. Typically, remains are unearthed during construction or whenever there's soil erosion. Some of these individuals are from unrecorded or forgotten cemeteries. So how does this happen? Imagine you are working on a construction site and you're operating the backhoe, and the horrible thing happens when you look down in the bucket and you see bones sticking out of the dirt. All construction is immediately stopped and law enforcement is called to the scene. So once law enforcement decides that the remains are not a part of a crime scene, a medical examiner and often an osteologist, a bone doctor, determines what they think the race or ethnicity of the bones are, if they can tell. By law, the non-Indian bones are transferred to the Office of the State Archaeologist, and American Indian remains are transferred to the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council. So the first picture on your handout, I want you to say this has been history and science in action. My sixth grader took this picture at Hamlin on Saturday. This is a drawer full of leg bones that were found in northeast Minneapolis. We don't know how many people were found there because they were all commingled together. So part of this project will be putting these folks back together and figuring out how many we have and where they're all from. In those 100 people, we have men and women, we have infants, we have children, we have adults, and we have elders from all over Minnesota. This project will allow them to all be put back together and analyzed to help identify their individual home communities. Osteologists would then construct a biological profile of the person, trying to figure out their height, their age at death, their gender, kind of any pathologies. How did they die? Did they have any chronic diseases? Historical research would then try and determine possible identities for these folks by using that biological profile. Researchers would also do some carbon dating to get an exact time of death or a date of death for these folks. And what you can see on page 2 is a budget that details staff costs and contracting costs, as well as extensive kind of labs and equipment fees, including DNA testing for about 10 of the people, as well as carbon dating on about 10 of them. We have also included an estimate of about $15,000 for reburial. While we expect that many of these folks can be given back to their descendants, or that there may be places in these communities where these folks can be reburied, we're assuming that there will be at least some cost to, kind of dig a hole and put them in and bury them back up. So we've estimated what those costs might be. Now I'd like to turn it over to Amanda to talk about just kind of one story coming out of these 100 remains and give you a sense of the really impactful history work that could be done if you were agreed to fund this project.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members. I'm Amanda Grunhove, the State Archaeologist, and I'm going to talk about a woman who was recovered in Hastings, and that's what these photos are of. Construction workers discovered human remains at the junction of Vermilion and 14th Streets in early August 2014, right up there. The workers notified the county sheriff, who determined that the remains were in a coffin and likely not part of a crime scene. The remains were removed and taken to Hamline University Osteology Lab. So the first picture is right after they were hit. The second is of the recovery. The third shows the grave shaft in the soil. And then this is a picture of her remains in the field. Only the bottom half of her was still in place. The top half had gotten hit with the backhoe, so the rest of her had to be recovered from soil that had already been removed. Initial analysis indicated that these were the remains of a woman potentially buried around 1900 based on the nails that were used in the coffin. Additional analysis revealed that it was a Euro-American woman who died in her late 20s or early 30s and also had fairly severe arthritis in one hip. These are photos of her remains at Hamline University right now. In addition to the biological profile, an historian volunteered his time to conduct research for this case. His research indicated that white settlers began moving into the Hastings area about 1853, and that the woman likely had been buried before the first formal cemetery was formed, putting her time to death prior to mid to late 1856. Based on this information, he searched all recorded female deaths in the Hastings area between 1853 and 1856. One woman fit the biological profile. She was Susan Twitchell Fox, originally from New York. She was married to Hiram Fox and had two daughters, Teresa and Rebecca. She died at the age of 26. Her husband went on to fight in the Civil War and died in 1865 and is buried in New York. Family and friends in the Hastings area raised her daughters. Through the historical research, the descendants of Susan Twitchell Fox have been identified and are still in Minnesota, the potential descendants. They would very much like to have DNA testing conducted and are very excited to possibly have the remains of their great-great-grandmother returned to them. This is just one of 100 stories that this project could tell about the people that lived in Minnesota if this project is funded. Thank you.
I have an even more bizarre story. In one town in my district, we have what they call prehistoric Indians that came over the Berings, the ice bridge from to Alaska from Bering Straits, and 3 out of the 4 tribes settled in Winnebago. They have an 800-acre federally recognized dig site. Everybody in the community has got a couple bushel boxes full of artifacts from that dig site. But if you have somebody that's 6,000 years old, do you know of anybody that in Minnesota that can go back that far?
The Mr. Chair.
Prehistoric.
Prehistoric? Yeah, that would probably be the predecessors to the Dakota in this.
Well, no recognized Indian tribe today came forth. They were the Winnebago, the Minnesota, and then another tribe. And they went through that dig site with a sewage pipe from Huntley, and nobody complained. And I've always wondered, I asked the Historical Society to do it, but they have too many busier things to do. So even though there's a redhead that's a very close friend of mine, I won't mention his name, but I've always wondered if they are the oldest Minnesotans, I think somebody should recognize.
Mr. Chair, yes, definitely, and that does fall under the purview of my office. The Private Cemeteries Act, any burials over 50 years old that are in unplatted cemeteries. And if if that were to happen and I was aware of it, absolutely, I would be coordinating with the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council instantly
Well, right
to
now,
make sure that that's
they
taken
have the
care of.
Winnebago Museum full of those artifacts. And if you need money to get yourself done to Winnebago, tell me, I'll take care of the debt. But I would like to know if, in fact, that story is true. And if they are, I think somebody should recognize that.
Mr. Chair, I will definitely check on that and get back to you. I'm unfamiliar with that specific situation, but
I'd
check on that.
appreciate that. So would David. Appreciate that. Representative Erdahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to our state archaeologist. I happen to own on my property a state archaeological site declared in 1940, and that's the last time any archaeologist was there, and just wondered when you were coming back.
Mr. Chair, Representative Erdahl, I would love to come back anytime you will have me.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you for coming here.
Thank
We
you,
don't have a
Mr.
bill number. We'll
Miss-
lay this over.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
You'll have to tell us the particulars. Are they good? Very well. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And with that, we're finally adjourned. Thank you for being here so long.